The following is my conversation with Diego Colosio. Diego is one of the most experienced sales executives in the cycling business today. Diego's journey spans over 3 decades, from building frames in a small Lombardi area workshop to leading global sales for iconic brands like 3T, Cinelli, Colnago, Bianchi, and now Pinarello. We explore his remarkable career, the evolution of the industry, and his unique perspective on leadership, shaped by his philosophy of being the owner of your face, which is, in other words, your reputation. This is the Business of Cycling podcast. So, Diego Colosio, thank you so much for coming on today. I had been wanting to talk with you. I know that you're one of the more experienced people in the business, with your experience with Colnago, with Bianchi, with Cinelli, 3T, and then now you're with Pinarello. This, for me, is an amazing opportunity for us to kind of give the world of cycling, the people that listen to the show, which many are in the industry, kind of an idea, a peer inside, a look at your career, because you really are one of the most experienced people in the business, currently working today. So I thank you so much for coming on today. Maybe if we can just start a little bit, you can tell me a little bit about where you're from and your family a little bit, kind of your upbringing.
Okay, first of all, thank you so much to you. You were so kind in the introduction. I'm not so.
No.
So good. I'm a normal. Probably I'm one of the best salesmen in the world.
The worst salesman.
Yeah.
Why?
Worst salesman.
Why the worst?
Yeah, because in my job you don't need to be good. You need to be able to find good people.
Okay.
And understand the good way to sell.
Okay.
And for sure there is hundreds of bicycle sales, head of sales better than me in Europe, that's for sure. My story, I grew up in a small city near to Brescia, is Travagliato, near in the center of Lombardi. My family had a family business. They was working in building construction, that segment. After the college,
What did you study?
I'm studying technical mechanic, designer.
Okay.
At my time, in Italy, the university was not so common, and after and after the college, I started to work with my father at the beginning. And after a couple of years, I would like to change my lifestyle, because I didn't want to follow the family business.
You didn't want to follow the family?
No.
Why?
Because my father was a big family. There was 4 brothers. I have also brothers. There are too many people of the family inside the business. And I want to do something different. I want to try to
do something on your own.
On your home.
Okay.
To also try to be able to travel, to find opportunity.
Okay.
I want to get a challenge. And in my city, at the time that I was thinking about what to do of my life, I got a friend of my father that offered me a job in a bicycle company. A bicycle company, small frame builder in the city, already with a good production, and I started working there like I was working in the office, but from the office I was a mechanic. I starting from zero. I don't know if at the time you remember there was the Regina Est cassette. Okay, now you have the cassette that are 13 speed, 12 speed. At the time was 6 speed. Okay. And they was all single, and when you have to combine the cassette, the people can decide the gear they like, the teeth they like on the cassette. At that time was a specific map to how to mount it, and it was quite complex. And the first activity that you learn in the shop is fix the cassette, clean the bicycle, change the tubulars, do the normal activity, change tape, do the normal activity that you do in a mechanic shop.
So would this have been in the 70s or in the 80s?
I was starting in the 87.
87, okay.
I took notes because it was so time ago, I forgot. The 87.
87, okay. So, and this was a bicycle manufacturer or
the
shop?
name was Denti.
Okay.
There was a Mino Denti. There was an ex-pro rider, and he was also good in fitting and in bicycle innovation. Was a very talented man in the bicycle and also in the business. and I'm start to working there like employee,
Okay.
like employer, and was frame manufacturer, the frame builder basically. I was working there. I stayed there. I was there 14 years, and after the 4 year, I bought part of the share of the company, and I've been owner of the company.
So you worked there for 4 years, and what are we talking? Like, I mean, how many frames a year are we talking?
When the company was at the maximum was more than 5,000, was between 5,000 and 7,000 frame a year.
A year, and you guys were welding these on jigs,
Yeah.
steel frames.
Was at the time was 14 employees,
Wow.
and you did frame building, the jack,
Yep.
painting, assembling, and selling.
All inside.
All
You guys
inside.
painted too.
Painting too.
Okay.
You was also painting department.
Okay.
At the
And
time,
your bikes were mostly sold in Italy or in Europe as well.
Also, we start after when I was there. After 3 years, we start to export.
Okay.
We export a lot in Japan, in center of Europe, in USA, because we made. I don't know if you remember, if you saw, there was a frame with a seat tube that was not straight but with a curve.
Okay.
The design of the curve was made for the first time from Bianchi. The first fork, today you have the shape of the first big fork that changing from the flat head
Right.
to
Lugs
shape,
with the lugs
okay,
on the
to
top.
lugs. The first one with the lugs that was made by Bianchi was the fork Benvenuti.
Okay.
At
And
that
so there was
time.
innovation happening.
That was innovation happening. Also, the Mirage was the bicycle with the seat tube curve. Why was innovation? Because normally the rear was around 41.5, the size. And that bicycle, they have 39.5. The Mini was very fast bicycle, and for the sprinter, and for that time that all the amateurs have very short road, short trip, short race with a lot of sprint, was an amazing bicycle at that time. But we didn't produce only for Bianchi. We also was a supplier for many brands in Italy that want to buy low frame.
White label. OEM, like OEM.
OEM, some
Yeah.
OEM, some shops. At that time
Sure,
there was
that they
many
wanted-
shop.
they wanted their own frames.
Yeah, they wanted their own frame.
So you buy into this company, and so now you're an entrepreneur, like you
No.
wanted to be. Well, you bought in. You bought in.
In my DNA, I'm an entrepreneur.
Okay.
I born likely. I
Okay.
born.
Okay. So you get the company, and then you stay there. It sounds like the owner Denti wanted to retire
Yeah.
or something like that. So then you take the company for another 9 years.
The
Well,
owner-
why did you then leave?
I leave because I was a co-owner of the company and arrived at, in the company sometime arrived the time that also if you have good relation is the time to leave. And if you are in two, one have to buy, one have to sell.
Right. Okay. So it sounds like there was a good reason for you to maybe move
Yeah.
on, and you decided to move on.
When I move on, for sure, part of my heart was there
Sure.
because was my baby. I grew the company, and the company grew around me, starting from the frame building, studying new product. We moved from steel to aluminum carbon. We arrived until that level because was the evolution from the 80 to the 2000.
87 to 2000.
Yeah, in the 2000 starting to arrive the
Carbon.
The carbon in the 2000, if I correct remember, there was something made by the French. There was there was the first carbon with lugs. The first carbon frame below a kilo was from Giant, the Tier C, if I correct remember. And at that time, many Italian companies, they still working with the steel and aluminum.
Sure. Yeah.
Steel and aluminum. We talking about steel, TIG, and brazed. The meaning is the traditional frame building. Together with the frame building, I also developed one of my passion, that is the fitting at the time, because we was used at the time to, when you sell frame, you also offer the fitting service.
Sure.
Because the frame builder visit shops that are all your customer. you have a fitting session. At that time was already a time that we start to use the first camera to take the picture, to use the computer, already to have some integration with the technology to study the fitting. The fitting that I learned is a fitting that came from the school that I have also from Mino Denti, that was the one who educated the company and the people to the fitting. Is a fitting that today doesn't exist anymore, or is not existing today, but is more concentrated in the support of the machine. At that time was more based on the experience that you have.
Sure.
But if you want to stay talking about this fitting, we can stay one time
An hour.
about 1 hour only talking about fitting.
You've got a lot of experience.
That. But when you're going to sell frame at that time, it was normal that you visit your client, you have a section with 5-10 dealer, you do the fitting. After you go home, you build the frame and you deliver the frame. Someone bought the frame raw, someone bought the frame painted with the label. At that time, with like innovation that was not common, we was one of the painting department with the preheating in the painting area, because the temperature is important in the painting because prevent the orange ski.
It prevents
The orange buccia d'arancio.
Okay.
I don't know in English how to translate buccia d'arancio.
It's like a bubble.
Like a bubble.
Like a bubble. Okay.
Like bubble. And that preventing the bubble on the
finish.
On the finishing.
Yeah.
It is making the transparent more smoothly and give more the color more brilliant in that way.
So you left Denti,
Yeah.
and you went to 3T at that point.
I left Denti because I sold the company.
Your shares,
I used my shares, and at the moment was a difficult moment because I was a man with a good experience, a good knowledge on the bicycle, but I didn't have any CV.
Right.
I don't have nothing in my hands because I was only able to I was the CEO of the company. I was the CEO of my company. That's
Right.
all.
So you didn't really get any like on the job experience
Yeah.
in like a company at all. So you were sort of the boss. And so you felt like you needed to get some experience in a company at that point?
Yeah, I did invest in myself, and I did some school, some English school, something to also grow in my education. But at the meantime, I started to do assessment, an independent assessment. It was something that I was able to do, sell, and I started to travel in Lombardi, in Piedmont, Emilia, in the region to sell products of other company, like independent agent.
So you just called up brands and you're like, hey, I'll sell your products. I know how to do
Like
this.
an independent agent.
Sure.
An independent agent started to try because at that moment I need to reinvent myself again.
Right.
At that time, one of my customer, one of the supplier that I sold the item was Triple T.
3T.
3T. And I was selling normally, and in 6 months, the quantity of the product I sold was equal to the quantity they sold in my area, the quantity they sold in all the Italy. And they came to me, what are you doing that you are performing so well? I say, I do nothing.
Just selling?
I'm selling.
Yeah.
I'm just selling. And they start to keep in touch with me. They was advised that I got experience with the frame. At that time, they also looking for someone international that was able to sell Columbus tubing.
Okay, so 3T was owned by Antonio
Colombo,
Colombo, which is Cinelli, Columbus.
Yeah,
okay.
was the gruppo that was Columbus, Cinelli, and
3T.
And Colombo.
So he asked you. He said, "Look, let's do something together."
Let's do something. I get an interview with Colombo, and he offered me opportunity to be an international sales manager for Columbus.
Okay.
Because I knew how to treat a tube. At that time, Colombo, that is for me, Antonio was one of the person that was important for me in my career, because I learned a lot from Colombo. From Colombo, I learned the beauty, the passion of the beauty, the attention to the detail, the vision. Because you can imagine that he took me in the 2000, and he told me, Diego, I knew that in USA now starting a community of frame builder. Go around visiting all the frame builder that you knew and try to promote Columbus, because at that time for that frame builder was easier to buy Reynolds, because Reynolds have a base in USA. Columbus you have to import.
Right.
It was quite much complicated.
Sure.
There was a distributor in USA but was smaller. And I spent time to visiting all the distributor around the USA. In the meantime, you are in USA. Okay, you are there. Go visiting a specialist. Go to visit that one. Go, and I started to add the tea. One time I support with Cinelli, and that is starting to be in touch with the OEM business, and I build the link with the Taiwan, because at that time you still visiting the product manager of the different company, like also the biggest company in USA, but also in Europe. It was the normal activity of the salesman, because was everything organized in show, traveling, your backpack, go, and was more kind of sales in pushing, because you sit with the product manager. Example, you go to Pacific Cycle, I sit with the product manager, I check the range, and I try to give him a proposal about which kind of components can fit from my portfolio, can fit for his range.
Right.
If he accepts it, I go back to Taiwan and start to negotiate with the Taiwanese, with the assembler, how.
Okay.
To offer.
So just to give people an idea, Cinelli had components, 3T had components. So you were having to be able to sell these components, you had to be part of the OEM production, assembly production. So it was, you go to the product manager, you sell these components, then you have to go to Taiwan to make sure that those products are available when they're assembling.
Exactly.
So it's a complicated process.
It's a complicated process, but it's not so difficult, because the Taiwanese at that time they was well organized already, because they are well organized, they are precise, and I think one of my talent is that I'm personal to listen, and I like to new culture and new people. And for me, it was not difficult to have a business with the Asian, because they are not so different for the people from the area where I come, because they have common value, like the family, the work, to be honest, to be transparent, and for sure everybody do the working for business. They try to make more profit as possible. That
right,
is
but
normal.
there's a human element there that if you can break through it, it makes things a lot easier, and it's more enjoyable.
Yeah, the human touch the human contact is always good. If you build a relation based on the trust, to be transparent, to be honest, that always is a long-term relation.
Absolutely,
give you
because it's a small world. The cycling world is a small world.
It's a small world. Yeah, it's a small world. Yeah, this is true.
Yeah.
And the point is also now, at that time, okay, we are talking about time where mobile phone was arrived from 5 years, because it was not that long. It was at the time that is internet was the beginning. It was not everything so easy like today. To fix an appointment in USA, you need to book in time, you need to call, you need to be sure to be there, you need to travel. Moving from Italy to Chicago to meet Pacific Cycle, that was 2 hours from Chicago, it took 2 days.
Right.
It was totally different.
So you're working, it feels like you really jumped in and you were really enjoying yourself. Like you were able to see a dynamic business, you were able to help Antonio, who had a lot of different products that you could sell, and you were having fun.
I had fun. At that time, example was everything asking for carbon. Columbus was aluminum and steel.
Right. I wanted to ask about this. So Columbus is, steel tubes, famous, and everybody wanted carbon in the mid 2000s. So, and I presume that because of just the way that carbon was sort of developed in Asia, it was difficult for you guys to do that. I guess how did Columbus react to this? What did you suggest that Columbus do?
You have to remember that Gruppo have a great good experience with carbon, because it was the first one to made and bar in carbon.
Okay. Yep.
Because they made the RAM.
The Ram, yeah.
Ram handlebar. It was in carbon. From that, they took a good knowledge of the carbon material. And at that point, they also have all the connection to start to build fork.
Okay,
And,
so their pivot was going to be forks.
Yeah, at that moment, we move the business from tubing to forks, rear stay in carbon, because at that time, many frame builder, they made the aluminum frame with the rear stay in carbon. Chain stay, assist stay in carbon. Or someone at that time they made a steel frame with the seat tube in carbon. All these carbon parts was made by Columbus, and what we did, we tried to invent also because all the network of the frame builder considered at that time in Italy there was more than 100, almost 200 frame builder. Today in Italy there is 10 frame builder.
10.
There's no more than that.
Right. Wow. Okay.
Now the big community of frame builder is in USA.
US. Okay.
Today.
So you guys pivoted to carbon forks, and how did that go? Was that a project that you were a big part of?
I was also a big part of that because I was the company who need to sell.
Right.
And I started to visit Germany, Europe, and I started to offer to the big German company cooperation with the fork, because they at that time they need also to offer value to the frame, because for them it was cheaper to buy the aluminum frame in Taiwan done. With the fork Columbus, Columbus together with the frame could be an extra value that helped them to give a value for money.
Yeah, higher spec.
Yeah, and that we use that key to try to save the
business,
the turnover, because a good sales have to thinking about build a good business, good relation, but we need to keep the focus on the turnover.
Sure.
The monthly turnover, the target of the
Absolutely,
year is
that's
always
all
there.
Yeah.
And when you have, like Columbus, there was at that time, I don't remember how many employees, but there was a lot of family. In certain position, you feel the responsibility of the family, of the colleague that working with you.
Of course.
And you need to find out a solution. On that, Antonio was great because Antonio is one of the owner that let you work. He let you work. He had his idea. He's very genius, because sometimes he arrived with. There was a day that he arrived with certain ideas. Say, where he find that idea? And it always surprised me. That was the good part of my life. It was not the longer period I stayed, because I stayed there only 4 years, but was, I can say, is 4 years that if it be possible, I
you do it
like
again.
to go there again. Yeah. Because I enjoy work. I enjoy work.
So you go to Gruppo, which is Cinelli, Columbus, 3T. And then you're doing the OEM business, you're doing global sales, you're learning. Then where did you go?
Then I met Ernesto Colnago.
At
the show in Milano.
Okay.
And I was there in the show working in the early morning. I passed by his booth, and he was there to clean the bicycle, because he take care to clean his bicycle.
Which show was this in Milan?
It was at the time was a Milano show, was EICMA.
EICMA, okay, because EICMA is now it's like a power sports motorcycle show, but it used to be both bicycle and motorcycles.
Was the time that still was a bicycle?
Bicycle, right? Yep.
And
this is about 2004, 2005. Okay.
He called me, say Bresciano, because he didn't.
Bresciano.
Because
okay. You're from Brescia.
From Brescia. Okay. Yep. Come to drink a coffee.
Okay.
This is typical from Ernesto.
Okay.
And I say there, I talk, say, what you doing? I'm looking for someone. Are you interested? Coming to my office.
He was recruiting you.
Yeah.
Okay.
But his way to recruiting is Colnago Ernesto is an iconic. I was used to call Ernesto Capo.
Right.
Capo
boss.
is boss.
Boss, yeah.
But in Italian, Capo, you call him Capo because he's the boss.
He's the
boss because he take care about you.
Yep.
He's really take care about you. And after that show, I was visiting his office one Saturday morning, because he normally do recruiting on Saturday morning. And we find a deal, and after 3 months I start to work with Ernesto.
How did it go with Antonio?
Antonio, he understood because for my personal growth, I need to move from components to bike.
Bikes, okay. That was the path.
Yeah.
And he wasn't offended, or
No.
it was a good.
We got a good relation. Okay, at the beginning he was not happy for sure.
Of course,
because,
yeah. It's his business.
He complained for me,
Yeah.
his business, but he understood. Also, we met also after, was a good relation, and I have a great respect for
Sure.
Antonio. I start to work because I try in my life. I was able, luckily, to drive my career. And I knew when I was in the component, there was a time for me to start to work with bicycle, with products, selling
The whole thing.
the whole thing,
Yeah,
not
yeah.
only components. Because was the time at that time there was Trek start to do Bontrager, Specialized start to do.
You saw the writing on the wall.
Yeah.
You saw the writing on
At
the
that
wall.
time there was
Components were becoming less valuable.
Exactly.
Yep.
FSA start with the brand FSA. At that moment, I was selling only Triple T at the end, and the tubing was always niche,
It was
niche,
tough,
niche.
yeah, very tough.
At the moment, I knew that was my time to move to a complete bicycle.
Okay,
And to be called by Ernesto Colnago was not that common.
sure.
To be called by Ernesto Colnago
that
was-
train
was
doesn't
not-
come by every
was
day.
was not
Right.
common. At the beginning, he let me work on Italy.
Okay.
I was take care about the Italian
Market.
Market, because probably he also want to knew me and understand who I was, how I was studio, how I work, and for me it was not difficult working with him because it was very close to my education. I'm coming from an area that we are working oriented. For us, work is
Hardworking people.
hardworking people.
Okay.
But we are not workaholic.
Right.
Okay. I like to work. I enjoy work. I'm happy when I'm working because I'm happy to do.
But there's a limit.
There is a limit.
There's a limit,
I try to find out my time, my space. I not.
But he saw some character in you that he liked.
Yeah, and that also I stay on the Italian market for 1 year, and after that he moved me on the international. Was also the time that the nephews was still young, and he need to have someone that also traveling with him around the world to visit customer, to visit show, because he didn't speak English. He need to have someone that support him in the business relation with the international.
So you were the global sales manager
Yeah,
for
I was the
Colnago.
global sales manager.
For how many years were you there?
I was there for 8 years.
8 years.
8 years.
And were you, I guess, in that time, what were some of the big kind of goals that you were able to achieve, or some of your biggest learnings from that time with Colnago?
From Ernesto, I learned the Ernesto is a great salesman, but he's also a very intelligent and clever person. From Ernesto was good for me, and he teach me a lot about negotiation, about be patient, about selling product high end, because it was still the after Mapei, was still the big Colnago. Pinarello didn't start growing yet, was in the process to grow, and Colnago was still an iconic at that time. You can say at that time the market was divided in three. There was Colnago, that was the more iconic product in the bicycle. There was a Pinarello that at that time he started to grow because there was a lot of winning of the Tour de France, but
Sure.
it was most fashion, color, modern. And there was Cervelo, that was the one that started to launch the technology. Because Cervelo at that time...
The carbon.
The carbon was the first one that started to change the shape of the tubing carbon from round to elliptical, more with aero shape. Start to introducing the idea of the triathlon, of the speed, of the technology. There was a more technology-oriented brand.
Sure.
That was the division of the market at that time. And the company, there was all three at the same level, more or less.
Right, and Colnago being a more, like you call it, an iconic brand, but it always seems to stay relevant. Because some brands can be iconic but can seem kind of old, where Colnago always seems relevant.
You have to consider that Colnago in the 2000, Colnago, in the 2012, he introduced the disc. The first bicycle with the disc brake was made by Colnago in cooperation with Campagnolo and Formula. And he was a visionary because at that time nobody
was doing it.
And he was able to understand it was the right moment. There was, in my experience, in my knowledge, already other company try to do a disc brake, introduce the brake on the bicycle, but they failed. He was the first one that was able to integrate the disc on the ergo power levels and have the disc on the carbon bicycle. That was also great from his side. And he was a visionary, and it was 2012. At that moment, everybody thought that he was, what is this? It's too early, it's not working, that is something that is impossible to use on the race. There was all the problem, if you remember, made by the use of the disc on the different race. Colnago was the one that again have a vision on that.
Sure.
And this is the talent of the man. The talent of the man. Colnago is a man that really love what he's doing. And for him, his company was a baby. When he decided to sell the company, I couldn't believe that he decided to do it. But probably he took this decision because he considered that he wanted to offer to the company long life.
Sure.
And
yeah, because with some additional resources, there's a better chance for a longer life. Because if in these companies, in these family companies, there's always a lot of riding, like there's always a lot of weight on the shoulders of the entrepreneur. And oftentimes, there's no one that can step in and do that at that same level. And so there's a lot of risk that once that entrepreneur is gone, that the company can't continue the way that it was. So I guess, yeah, if we look at it that way, definitely having a bigger organization behind them will help them to be more structured and continue to flourish.
Yeah, for sure. Now they're doing well. They have a good result. Meaning the also decision on Colnago was correct. But he was so in love of his company that for the health of the company, he decided.
Okay, so for the good of the company.
I don't believe he was not a man that need money.
Right, of course.
It was not for money because it's not.
It was for the good of the company.
Yeah, it was a very
for his baby.
Humble man. Humble man. I traveled with him a lot, and I can say where he was, I was. He always was equal and always was very fair with me. When I decided to leave, is because in his vision. He preferred to, at that time, he preferred to develop the family, and it was understandable. For me, like manager, I want to grow, and for me was the time to also learning something more. Because
something new, yeah.
Everything, every work experience for me was an opportunity to learn.
Well, and I think I've seen this before, where when you're in a place for 5, 6, 7, 8 years, you've kind of seen everything. For the most part, right? And so there is a point where you kind of have to make a change, because otherwise you're kind of limiting yourself.
Yeah, this is true. And at that time, I was in touch with Bianchi. Bianchi, they offered me a job because Bianchi, there was the owner of Bianchi is a Swedish family, the family Grimaldi in Stockholm, and
they're just. They have a distribution company, is that correct, in Sweden?
They have an holding
company.
On the holding, at that time was more than 40 different companies under the holding. It was not only bicycle.
Okay.
Bicycle was the small part.
Right.
They was more oriented in the industrial
manufacturing.
Manufacturing.
Yep. Yeah.
Industrial manufacturing.
So the bike was kind of a smaller part of it for them.
Yeah, but there was the two different sections of the holding. That one was Psycho Europe Group, and the other one was Bianchi. was the two organizations.
And they have strong distribution in Europe, right?
They have strong distribution in Europe. They also cover USA, Australia, UK, and Japan with the local company. At the beginning, they hired me to be the bridge with Bianchi, because all these company, they was selling Bianchi, like distribution around the world.
These were subsidiaries, or these were partner companies?
Part of Psycho Europe was from the same family, but
subsidiaries.
For Bianchi, they was working like distributor, but under the same umbrella.
But they were disconnected.
They was disconnected, and they need to have someone that could be a link with the Bianchi and the local organization.
Okay.
And that's why they offer me the job, and I start to be the person that visit Sweden. That Sweden was a good market for Bianchi at that time. I was visit France, Denmark, Finland, Norway. In all the countries there was a company of Psycho Europe, and with that company we developed the forecast, the selling strategy, the price list,
for Bianchi.
For Bianchi.
Okay.
Yeah. I was kind of consultant for the local sales.
Sure, but it sounds really pretty complex compared to traditional bike brands.
Yeah, that was the challenge. First of all, because inside the Bianchi organization there was a very high level of planning and tooling that you can use to monitoring the business. Was really advanced also in the process inside, because the Swedish organization bring the working style inside the Bianchi, and that was a really a great opportunity for someone like me that I'm like a sponge, like a spoon. I want to learn.
Yeah.
I want to understand, and for me to learn how to forecasting, how to do planning, how to organize the calendar of the year, how to integrate people. For me, it was a big challenge, a big opportunity for myself to grow. In the meantime, when I started to work, at the time there was the CEO was Bobby Polito, that also American was also a great person for me in my life, because I also learned from Bob a lot. He told me, we are going to take over the Belgium, Holland market and German market, and we want to start the direct market. And from there, you want to take it? I say, yes. I never say no. Yes, I take it. I start to open the direct market. Subsidiary. Was not necessary to have the subsidiary over there, because in Europe you can have employee without have a company.
Oh, sure. Yeah, you don't need a company.
You need to have a
company. You can just ship to the stores. So you would have had to then open relationships with stores directly.
Open relation with the stores. You had to find the country manager, find the sales, and build
in Germany.
Germany.
That's a big job. That's a huge job, because Germany is the biggest market in Europe.
Yes, but Germany, you can do Germany with the one country manager and 3 agents.
Okay.
You can cover the country.
Okay, but when he said we're going direct, what did that mean? That they were going to? Did you guys already have a distribution company there?
There was a distribution. They closed the contract with the distribution, and they moved the distribution to direct market.
Okay.
But you need to find the dealer, open the connection, building a credit line.
Right, but wouldn't they've already had the dealer? You would have had dealers. Would the dealers have to call you, or how did, like, when they say go, like, what do you got to do at that moment?
Yeah, but if you approach the market and developing in the market, you have to watch the dealer, but you need to find a new opportunity.
No, of course. But I'm talking about the existing opportunities.
There was an existing opportunity, but the existing opportunity was led by a distributor that was not concentrating the high end.
No, I understand that, but I'm saying when they asked you to take over, your first job is, I'm just curious about how this, so you would have had to go and find the existing dealers, but they probably would have contacted you.
It was easy. I jumped on Ryanair. Ryanair just opened the first flight in Charleroi. I was jumping in the first flight to Charleroi with my backpack, rent a car, go around, visit
all the dealers.
First of all, I try to understand the market, visit by myself, one by one.
Yep.
After that, I keep in touch with the distributor, salespeople, to understand if someone could work with us.
Sure.
He was a great guy over there that I share a lot of years together working, and we start to build the business, the
network
business in that country.
So I mean, it was already a built market. You just had to sort of transition to a direct market.
Yeah, but sometimes, the solution is in the easy move. Example, easy move was take the bag and go. If you start to stay at home,
No.
develop that.
No. So
you
your plan was get the dealer list and just start going and finding them.
Yes, but you need to pay attention to not make the mistake of the old salesman. Okay. The old salesman, first of all, the old salesman say my customer. And if you say my customer, you're not good because it's a company customer.
Right. It's a brand customer.
It's a big difference. It's a brand customer.
Yeah.
And the game changer is in the old salesman, the CRM is inside the salesman head and the salesman bag. You need to bring the CRM inside the company.
Oh yeah.
That is the big change. You have to change in inbound process where you, in the same time you develop the business, you building the structure, you keeping the trust of the customer. You have to keep a position of leadership in front to the IBDs. IBDs are people that have a family, have business.
They need to trust you.
They need to trust you, and when you have someone that buy your product, they invest their own money in you.
Yeah, and when you don't deliver it, that's lost sales for them.
That is lost sales to them. It's not always easy because make everybody happy is quite complicated.
No, of course. But the idea, this is one thing that I realize is, for a dealer to invest in a brand, a bike brand, like it's a huge gamble for them because they need to make sure that, are you going to deliver this bike? Is it going to work? If I have a problem, are you going to support me? So I think what you're saying is perhaps you had seen in the past where a distributor was owning that relationship. Where today, at least what Bianchi had asked you to do was, no, we need to own that relationship.
Yeah.
And that's probably the best for a brand, to own the CRM and to own the relationship.
Yes, that is the key point. And you need to build the balance sales team. The balance sales team.
What does that mean?
What is the balance sales team? A sales team is like to have horses. There is a fast horses. There is a not so fast horses, but who do the long distance. And you need to be able to keep the characteristic of each one, combine them together, because the ambitious salesman can help the traditional salesman to perform. You need to be able to create a competition without losing the focus of the teamwork. Because if you have a salesman that start to be selfish or only concentrating his result, this is danger for the team. The meaning you need to have a balanced team. That is the key point everywhere. Trust, because you have to build the trust. Because if you don't trust in people, it's not working.
Right. That's the biggest thing.
And they need to be honest. They need to be honest, but honest, not honest with the company, honest with the customer. Tell the truth when you cannot tell all the truth always.
Right. The right amount of the truth.
Yeah, the right amount of truth. That is correct. That is correct.
But I have a question. I was speaking with a company today that sells trainers, and their strategy is to let the distributor own. The distributor handles the country, but they share the data. Now, in your opinion, does this owning the direct relationship, does this work for every type of product, or is it particularly for bikes it's the most appropriate?
It's not working for all the products.
Right.
For parts, probably this is the best solution because
you can't possibly have for the amount of...
Yeah, because it's all based on meter square inside the store floor.
Okay.
What you have to fight for is the meter square of the store. After that, the selling they will come. when the shop owner trusts in you and you have always provided a good product at the right price, the right time, okay, but perfection doesn't exist. Also, and for the company that's selling components, is probably better to look in partner that have a strong, that they could be a good supplier for the stores. They offer a good portfolio of components.
Sure, it's different.
If you're talking about helmets, it's different.
Right,
Okay?
but bikes, you're saying, in your experience, bikes, you need to be there, you need to be direct.
You need to be direct. Also, if you do helmets or clothing, you need to be direct. But if you do components like pump, trainer, bottle case, or other stuff, you need to have a distributor.
Yeah, that's going to go wide instead of deep.
Or if you're going to sell in Germany, from Italy is easy today. If you're selling trainers in Germany, you can do easily in the shop, ship, they order.
Sure.
Because there is no.
But that's and then there is a place where it's like, well, what do you want to do? Like, because there's also a choice where the company's like, well, we want to be good at product and not invest time in having a sales team. So it's like it's also a choice, right? Where it's like
it's a choice, but also working with a distributor is not that you don't invest time, because you invest in time to train the distributor.
Yes.
It's always a sales strategy that could work. Depend always on the. Sometimes it's healthy not go directly because you cannot pay the cost.
It's not profitable.
Yeah, because you consider if I selling components, I cannot pay for a stable organization. Stable organization, you have an agent. Okay, agent, you have the salary, the
car,
the social, the car, the food, the holidays, sick is normal.
Yeah. So you have to balance because the distributor can provide a lot more coverage. So that's so you're in Bianchi. You're starting up a Germany. You said Germany, Netherlands, Belgium.
Germany, Netherlands. After that, it was France.
Direct.
After that, direct. Yeah.
And so you built this model
At the same time,
like it was a model that you built that you then applied across all these countries.
Yeah, because the customer service was all based in Italy. In Italy, there was the central customer service. There was a green number in all the Europe, and it was always the same. And the shop, they called the number because also at that time,
toll-free number.
The email is in the last 10 years that we are now doing every email. At that time, they still use the phone especially in the Nordic, in the center Europe, north of Euro area, they prefer to use to call. And at the beginning, we had a distributor with the local office. We keep the local office. And we opened a green number, and certain day we moved the office from Holland to Italy. We find Dutch lady in Italy that reply to the phone with the green number. They reply, and
okay.
Because if you want, you said you was in Holland. You was no?
Me?
No.
No,
okay. No. Because the office was in the middle of nowhere, you know.
Okay. So you're doing sort of this strategic move for development of the sales strategy all across Europe for Bianchi. So this must have been another fun project, challenging project.
But at that point, arrived another problem.
What happened?
Because until you have the distributor places the order. You have a production, you deliver. But when you have your customer, the IBDs, you need to talk about to prepare yourself the warehouse full.
Yeah, you're going to have a lot more warehouse.
Yeah, and at that point, starting the
planning,
the planning or the demand planning, understand how to build the demand planning, understand how to be the forecasting, understand how to transfer the information inside the company, understand how to handle and manage the forecasting. Because if you're not selling a product, you need to be able to change the product. Otherwise, the wrong forecasting going to generate extra stock. Forecasting is wrong always. It is impossible to have a perfect forecasting.
Sure.
But there is a percentage of wrong forecasting. A forecast with wrong of 10% is fantastic. Forecast wrong of 30% is a disaster. And today, with the cost, a company like Bianchi at that time that was working with 105 Ultegra Dura Ace, Chorus, still was selling Chorus and was selling probably some Veloce. If you make some mistake with that group, it's a lot of money. also with the carbon frame.
So you're developing this new sales strategy, but then at the same time, you can't make a mistake. You can't order too much stuff, or you can't order too little stuff. It's going to be a complete disaster.
Yeah, I was not alone because Bianchi was already trained on that. But was the time that we need also to develop the system, and at that time we did a lot. I learned a lot, and today is part of my background is also all the part related to the
Demand planning. Right.
Demand planning, service, and the customer service. Customer service for a sales director is
huge.
Is huge, but is important, because if I have a different phone call, the priority is always on the customer service people, because when they call, because they have something urgent, and there is a customer in the back that's waiting for. The meaning priority is customer service. Customer service is the office that telling you what's happened.
Yeah, that's like you're touching the market. You're seeing what's happening in the market. It's super important.
It's super important. Also myself, when I also was in the position of sales director, always I keep country by myself to handle directly, because that keep me close to the market.
Yeah, so you know what's happening.
Yeah. Otherwise, if I miss the feedback, if I miss the information, the feeling of the market, it's difficult to predict the future. At that time,
you have to have a pulse. It's called the pulse, maybe. I think like you have to understand the pulse of the market.
Consider that during the COVID time, there was a forecasting that was 48 months before.
48 months of
advance. For 2 years in advance of forecasting. After COVID time was 2 years in advance of forecasting.
I don't understand.
You need to forecast the year normally.
Yeah.
1 year, 6 months.
Yep. Okay.
But you do the forecast of the year, and after that you are going to manage the segment.
Yep.
But at that time, after COVID, because you didn't have components enough to place the order, you need to offer forecast of 2 years.
Because you couldn't get them?
Because you couldn't get them, because the supply chain or the supplier, they was full of order. And to be sure that to guarantee the delivery time, the time that you need, you need to book in advance.
2 years.
2 years. And do the forecast 2 years before was quite complicated.
Dangerous.
Was dangerous. Yeah, it was really dangerous.
And we see what happened.
What happened is also the problem was made by the supply chain, but I don't think you cannot blame anyone. It was a moment.
No, I know that the phantom order, like the phantom order thing, where
the phantom order
where people were going to more, people would go to 3, 4, 5 different bike shops, and then I'm not trying to point fingers at anybody here, but it's, I guess, when COVID happened, because I see that you worked at Bianchi up until 21, and then you went to Pinarello.
Yeah.
But you were in Bianchi through the heart of the worst part of COVID.
Yes, at that time, yes. And what we did there, we tried to deliver bicycle to everyone in a fair way, because there was during the COVID time we was at work, because in Italy the bicycle business was essential, and essential, and they let you go work. And that time I remember there was the COVID, and I traveled to work every day.
Yep.
Because it was the company was still open.
Yep.
We need to pay the bill. And you need to work. You need to work a delivery bicycle. Also because you have a customer that asking, because just past the first 10 months of crisis, the business start in crazy way. And in that time, the attention was to be able to deliver material to everyone, and not concentrating quantity in only one. And personally, in Bianchi, and also here when I moved to Pinarello, we try to not abuse the power of having stock. Certain brand at that time.
You mean with pricing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not also pricing, because the time, you shop asking for bicycle. I need bicycle. Okay, minimum you need to buy 20.
Right.
I'm going to struggle you with that 20.
Yeah, it's going to be tough.
I try to not do it that, because I feel it was not the correct way. But Is a style. What that time was an opportunity, and the company that was more concentrated in number, they catch the moment, they catch the quantity, and after that they pay that because they got consequences for that. There was the price, there was the extra stock, there was a problem that
you sell 20
have today.
You sell 20 today, you're not going to sell any tomorrow.
Yeah, at that time nobody checking which kind of motor, which kind of group you was the time you're selling everything. It remind me in the 80s when there was the first mountain bike. That I got the shop, and I remember we received a container of mountain bike every 2 weeks, and in 2 weeks we was able to sell the full container of mountain bike, because mountain bike at that time was really was very cheap and basic bicycle. Okay, nothing compared to the today mountain bikes, but the demand was so big because there was something new.
Right.
That you buy from China. I remember we buy from China without check the specification. Was just
give it to me.
Give it to us.
Yeah, we don't care.
We don't care. It was not a long period because I think it was 1 year or something like that. But it was a good time.
Right.
Also, and COVID was something that I didn't experiment before. Like today, all the problem in the last 2 years was something I also didn't experience before in my working life, to be honest.
You mean the overstock?
Also the people, the stress, the price problem, because the point was the IBD's owners, that we don't need to forget their father, their mother, their family
people.
member, their people, they was confused. And what we did, we tried to offer them stability. We try to build the sales based on fixed meeting time, to let them the view, present the product in time, to let them understand what will happen. We try to be transparent, because if they understand what you're doing, they can decide what they want to do. And buy is becoming them decision. And that is from my personal point of view, the key point is to keep the trust, to be honest, and to be happy. If you are happy to sell, you will never fail, because you enjoy to do your job every day. You have a good relation with your colleagues, with other people. You need to approach all the time the business in a humble way, to be humble, to be easy, to listen, to try to understand, to try to learn. Is a lifestyle. You get it or you not get it. It's not something that you can. Also, if you see someone that doing that, you can get it if you want to take it. But I don't know how to say, but is something that someone have this approach, but someone don't have it, but is the key point.
So you're saying that during COVID, it was a crazy time. These poor dealers were in a really strange position, and you felt like you wanted to focus on making sure that they understood what was going on, because it being such a weird time with just the rules had been all thrown out the window, you wanted to make sure that they understood what was happening.
But also pay attention that everybody receive the material, not only delivery to one, to be sure that everyone can get it, everyone can make money.
Right, because the risk was, if you favor someone, you may sell that today, but tomorrow they're going to remember.
Yeah, they want to remember, and you need to also build the future.
Right.
And
so
it's not a strange strategy. It's very
no,
basic.
I know it's not strange, but I've never really talked to anyone about this, because it's sort of a black box in a sense that, like, there was a lot of overstock. What I felt like anecdotally was just everybody was feeling all this pressure from financial pressure. Not Trek specifically, but brands were jamming the product down people's throats because they had pressure. Everybody had pressure in every step of the way, and I imagine you were not an exception with your customers. So you just wanted to make sure that, like, look, this is the situation, this is what happened, and you just tried to be as fair as you possibly could to everybody. Is that a fair assessment of the situation?
Yeah, it's like that.
Where are we today?
Where are we today? Wow. I think we probably will need another season. Probably we have the season starting for us in July. Now we are in season 25, and we will have in July season 26.
26.
26 will be a season that we just now is. Last year for us was a good year, was a record year. We closed the turnover in June, was good. And this year is little struggling because still some problem of inventory. Big problem the store they have is the e-bike, because sometimes you have to consider a expensive e-bike took the space of one road or two
Sure.
road bike.
Sure.
The problem with the e-bike is the battery became old.
Yeah. Can't sit there for very long.
Difficult to handle.
So those e-bikes are taking resources from potential customers of yours.
Yeah. Yes. Also not potential.
Or existing.
They don't give the opportunity to the shop owner to buy what he wants. Sometimes.
Right, because he's got
they
money.
want to limit his
buying power.
His buying power. Yeah.
Yep.
It's not they want to buy, but sometimes they are scared because they have a bill to pay.
Of course.
Or
And that's
different reasons.
That's normal.
I
And
think we need another season after that. We'll recover. Not go back like COVID because will be impossible. But we'll go something in the middle.
Sure. And one thing we talked about, just to kind of, I know we're coming up on an hour here, but I wanted to ask your view on teams, because we had talked a little bit about how, you owned a frame building business, you worked in components, you worked for Colnago, you worked for Bianchi, now you work for Pinarello. But one of the things that you told me that is the most important part of your job today is to build a great team.
Yeah.
And can you tell us a little bit about how you approach that process?
To be honest, I do nothing special. I really, in my working life, I'm really boring person. I go work every morning at 7:30. I park my car. I like to park the car before the people arrive in the office, because I was educated to be there and let the people see that you are there in time. Because for me, it's kind to place respect to my colleagues, to the worker, to the office people, and this is part of the team building, because you need to show for first.
You're the leader,
I'm the
and
leader.
you're showing the way.
I'm showing the way. It's not showing the way because it's more show lifestyle. That you don't need to pretend that the other copy you. Anyone can do how they want until they working correctly, they are in time, they do the task they have to do, is okay. You cannot pretend much than that. But with your example, sometimes you can push people to pass the limits, to be more curious. You need to be able to give them the view of approach new challenge. It's fantastic for me. Like I told you, I'm arrived to office, I'm open the BI, I'm start to work in
looking at the numbers. Yeah.
Numbers. That
Yep.
is my day. After I check in the emails, I go around, take a coffee with the people, and I try to be always available when they ask me. That is important. Never say I cannot reply you or not reply, or you need to be available from your team if you want to build a team. For me, it's fantastic when someone coming and sharing to me ideas or tell me his ambition. That for me is one of the great moments, because it's pushing me to share my experiences, my view. And if I'm watching back and I see my ex-colleagues that now working to me in the different company when I was, they working together in my team, and now they have a great position, they grow, they did career. Okay, that is something that when I watching back, I see, okay, God, this guy now he's taking good position. He was working with me, started with me. It's make me proud of
Satisfying,
that. That
yeah.
is something that I think you cannot buy. You cannot buy. Build the team is that. It's nothing complex. It's nothing sophisticated. It's more a lifestyle. I don't know how to explain better than that. If you're thinking that there is a specific strategy, no. okay, you need to sit with the people. We need to talk, communicate, have a regular meeting.
Clear objectives.
Clear objective. Example, all I doing, I have notes, I have activity that I do, I never alone. I also have someone to share because I let them understand what I'm doing in my daily job. And they also do the same with me. But when someone shares with you something, you need to take care to read it and give a comment, be interactive. This is part of the daily, is a more a lifestyle that specific strategy, to be honest.
Sure.
But the communication and the human touch, human connection is the key point for building.
And trust. It sounds like one thing that has been really constant through our conversation has been how important it is for you to build trust with your team, with your customers, with the company that you work for. And yeah, so this has been amazing, Diego, for you to take some time.
At the beginning, you asked me, before to start, how was the change to me from entrepreneurs to owner,
yes, you're right.
Not owner.
Yes, because hold on, here's the question. So I asked you, I said, you were an entrepreneur when you were 20, 22, 23, 4 years old, and then you became an employee. And I asked, but how are you an employee when you kind of have that entrepreneurial spirit? And your answer was?
I'm still the owner of my face.
Okay.
And all I have to sell is my face.
Right.
And my face is what my face, my reputation, myself.
Your reputation, yeah. In Italian, when you say face, it means reputation.
Reputation is what I can sell.
That's what you sell.
And I'm the owner of myself, and I need
your reputation.
I need to take care, of that because you see, I changed job in my life. And I change it. I always grow because always I had a better opportunity. That I have opportunity to find a better place. I'm arrived to Pinarello. For me, it was a poker because I did Cinelli and 3T. I did Colnago. I did Bianchi. I did Pinarello. He was the top. For me, it was fantastic.
Royal flush.
For a man like me that I grow with the bicycle, I love the bike. For me, it was like to be in paradise. I was the winner.
Won the lottery,
I won the lottery. That was for professional way for me. I was enthusiastic of that.
No, I get it. And my question was, absolutely. And my question was, you're not an entrepreneur, you're an employee, but what you're saying is look, this is just as good.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you, Diego.
Welcome. Thank you to you for everything. It was a great talk.